I'd love to get a little bit to know about you, because we can sit here and talk about business, and I think a lot of times we go to these industry events and we talk about business all the time. We just talk about, what's going on in the industry, what's your company, all this stuff, how we can help you, help me, blah blah blah. I think it's really great if we can kind of peel back the layers a little bit and just get to know who you are. So, kind of a, I don't know, threefold question: who you are, what do you do, and I don't know, where you're from.
Well, I feel like I'm speed dating here, but no, my name is Geoff Clark. I'm a Gemini.
My name's Jeff.
Like long walks on short piers.
Love it.
And no, I mean I grew
Shorter
up in LA.
the shorter the better.
So I grew up in the Valley, in a little town called La Crescenta. If you know where the 2 freeway is, it's kind of like at the end of the 2. And it was always like fascinated with film and would make my own kind of like silly short films with my stepdad's Panasonic like
Love
VHS
it.
recorder.
Yeah.
And then eventually went to film school at Cal State Long Beach, and traditionally I've been a film producer and produced, I don't know, 60 or 70 movies and a handful of television series. And then in 2016, I went to go work with a company called futurism.com, that a couple of my friends founded and ran their studio there as president. And in that process, we created a ton of content. We did huge numbers on Facebook and all that stuff. And when Facebook changed the algorithm, we our video revenue went down quite extensively overnight.
Those darn algorithms.
Man, Facebook really screwed a lot of publishers back then, and just didn't care. And so we were scrambling, looking. I had like an 8 or 9 person video team at the time, and at the time there was no AI, there was no templatizing, there wasn't. But we cut those things in Premiere. I thought it might have been like Final Cut at the time, Final Cut X, and and so I was like trying to find more ways to make money. And a friend of mine, good buddy of mine, was the director of strategy at Pluto at the time, and it was like, oh yeah, like this is gonna be a thing. And I was like, what is this crappy app? This is never gonna be a thing. And then the more I looked at it, I was like, wait, maybe this is gonna be a thing. This is a smart idea.
Yeah.
So we ended up putting together a futurism channel that was just I had 8 hours of content on a loop 3 times a day. And ended up launching it on Samsung TV Plus and Zumo and a bunch of other, Stir at the time. And Whirl was kind of brand new-ish, and so we would deliver them stuff as literally on a hard drive sometimes. And Futurism had a fast channel, and that's how I learned about fast. No one knew about it; it just wasn't like a thing. So yeah, so basically, through that process, just kind of learn how to do it. And at the time I had a small staff, so we were able to pull things off, and we actually went in licensed content for the channel at the time, like a bunch of cool sci-fi short films that we found on YouTube in essence.
Yeah.
And then I went out and licensed a handful of docs because I was a doc film producer for years, so I knew a bunch of the indie production or distributors like Shout and Giant and all them that had great docs. At the time, 1091 or Chicken Soup, and just kind of fell into it. And then in 2019, in March, we ended up selling Futurism to Singularity University, which was awesome. And I only had a 6-month stay on. And by the time November came around, I was like, okay, should I stay? Should I go? And then I lived in New York at the time, and it was January hit, and I was like, oh my God, I'm from California. I can't do another winter here. And then I was just thinking to myself, why am I here? We already sold the company. What am I gonna do? Sell it again? I'm not even in charge of the company. But we were having so much fun and making all this great content. And
it's tough when you're having fun, when you're enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
All the little nuances or nuisances at that point, kind of go away because you're enjoying life.
Yeah. But at some point, it just was not quite all the same people there. Obviously, when we sold it, our CEO went off. They didn't need 2 CEOs.
Yeah.
And he went off to go do another thing. And some of the other people in the process have become really, really crypto rich because Futurism was the top SEO for Bitcoin or Ethereum. And so we ended up through that process doing a lot of work for a lot of these crypto companies that were based in Brooklyn. And so everybody started investing in Ethereum when it was like $2. You know what I mean? And Bitcoin was like $700 at the time. And we all were, we're doing all these videos for these companies. So we're like, oh, put a couple $100 there, and a couple $100 here. And then eventually the CTO was like, he's like, why am I even here? I make millions on Ripple. Like, I'm out. Like, he quit. Like, our other president had made like millions, so he quit. It was just like, so eventually I decided that my time was over there. And I was just sitting around in New York in winter, and I was like, I wonder if this fast channel thing, like, could be a thing.
Yeah.
And so I ended up calling.
For those that don't know, free ad-supported television.
Yeah, and it's basically like the cable we grew up with.
Yep.
But instead of being delivered via cable, it's now just delivered via streaming.
Yep.
And so I was just sitting around in New York, and I was like, maybe I should. Previously I had a company that had a deal with 1091 or The Orchard at the time, and we would sub-distribute all our films through them. And so I knew them pretty well. And so I called my friend Danny over there, and I was like, hey, why don't you let me guys build you some fast channels? And they're like, what are fast channels? And I was like, let me tell you, for 10 grand a month,
change your life.
I will build you all the fast channels you want. And so he's like, well, let me give you our list of our library. And he's like, come back and tell me what you want to do. And so I went through their like thousands of movies, carved out 6 channels, which were like an alien channel, a surf channel, whatever their library had. And they ended up hiring me, and we ended up like launching a bunch of those channels on Roku and Samsung. And,
awesome.
And there's still, some of them are still in existence. Like the Alien channel Unidentified is still out there. And I imagine does well at the time. It crushed it. And then I just kept doing that for other people, just as like a consultant for a handful of years. And then eventually that's what kind of became active.
Thanks for spending your time with us today on the More For Me and You podcast. If you've made it to the end, we appreciate you. Now, go do us a quick favor. Please like, comment, and share this episode. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode with the incredible guests we have coming up. You can also follow us at Momi2 Podcast on Instagram and on TikTok. Oh, and for your next movie night, check out the Momi2 app. It's free and packed with amazing movies and shows you've probably never seen. Until next time, take care, stay safe, and we'll see you in the pod.